Wonderful. Thank you for having us. We've got a couple groups absent tonight, but plenty of our teams here to share their experience based on their winter sports season. If you want to click to that next slide, I'll get us started off here with a couple highlights. The first being that I always like to promote and make sure people don't forget is the top GPA for seniors, and that these are student athletes. And I will tell you, our student athletes really do take that seriously. We just did a cumulative study as part of our community roundtable of all the facts that are happening within our buildings or departments. Our cumulative GPA for our high school athletes from last year is with 3.47, which is all the way across every single student that's participating. I was absolutely floored by that. Another very successful season with state qualifiers, lots of send-offs. That's become such a cool, positive school event and tradition that we started a couple years ago. We have 3 state champions. We have the Raiders, who were here last month, and they won in kick. We have Andrew Hansen in our 200 freestyle and Liam Neitzel in 120 pounds. And then we had one conference championship, which is a little bit lower. I feel like people are thinking that's not a great year. It's tough. And boys swim and dive had a great season along with many of the other teams. And I did put in the middle, we've ran into some cool opportunities in terms of garnering some opportunities in respect to host some neutral site events, maybe been off a little bit more than I expected we would do, but we've got just this winter alone, we hosted 6 neutral site events. And some of those we can participate in, like swimming and wrestling. Some of them we can't. With basketball, for example, we can't ever host a basketball sectional final, but we can host Division IV and Division V. On Saturday, we hosted a Division V girls game with Clear Lake going to state, and then this Thursday we're hosting now a Division III game with Prescott and Somerset. So it's a great opportunity to bring people into our buildings, into our community, and it's a ton of fun if you have a chance to stop by. So I will start with our first group, which is boys basketball.
My name's Tyler, and I'm a junior.
I'm Sam LeBlanc, and I'm a senior.
So we finished the regular season 16-8. We faced a really tough schedule this year and battled lots of adversity, but overall we showed lots of improvement as the season went on. And then some of the accomplishments that we had were finishing 11-3 in conference, taking second place. Eau Claire Memorial took first. I think they only were 1 loss ahead of us, so it was close. And then we saw a lot of improvement from the start of the year to the end of it. We started out 1-3 and finished 16-8, so it was a pretty good year. We had our playoff game last Friday. We ended up losing in the first round to a pretty good DC Everest team, but overall it was a pretty good season.
Thanks, guys.
Girls basketball.
I'm Liv Grotehouse. I'm a senior.
I'm Maya Johnson, and I'm also a senior.
I'm Ella Carstensen, and I'm a senior.
And I'm Simone Ransom, and I'm also a senior.
This season was full of lots of fun new building experiences, especially with how young our team was and the seniors that we lost last year that played consistent minutes for the past 4 years that they've been playing high school. And we had a lot of fun and made a lot of memories through spaghetti dinners and practices and post-game bus rides.
We had to face some adversity, but we came together as a team to get through it. Overall, it was a great season that we have learned a lot from and are proud to end our high school careers with it.
We were able to get second in conference by finishing 11-3, and we were regional champions in our section, or region. And for the Christmas tournament we were the champs of that.
We were the number 2 seed in playoffs, and we raised $1,200 for the Jimmy V Cancer Foundation.
That's it.
All right, good job. Hi, my name is Destiny Pedersen. I'm a current senior.
Hi, I'm Gracelyn Ganther, and I'm a junior.
I'm Ashley, and I'm a junior.
So throughout this cheerleading season, we endured many challenges from injuries and had to undergo multiple changes to our routine. We still managed to be the strongest competitors in our division.
We are proud to say with over half of our team being new, we were able to persevere through these challenges and have a very successful season.
Some of our accomplishments were we took first at Prior Lake, first at the U of M. We got 2 bids to nationals. We won the Spirit Award at Eau Claire. We took 3rd at prelims, and we made it to state.
Very good.
Gymnastics.
Hello, I'm Hannah Huntley, and I'm a senior.
And I'm Addie Schultz, and I'm also a senior.
Throughout the 2023-24 gymnastics season, the team had a lot of accomplishments. We set a goal at the beginning of the season to reach a score of 136 before conference, and we were awarded 2nd at sectionals. Our season ended with a trip to Wisconsin Rapids for state, where 14 of the gymnasts on our team competed at state, and then myself and Bree Johnson were also competed individually at state, and our team received 7th.
All right, so some accomplishments this year. We had our cancer meet, which we raised $1,800 for the Rhinos Foundation. Also, we had a Jonesy's local fundraiser, which the money raised went to warm-ups as well as equipment. Conference, we finished 3rd overall. In sectionals, we got 2nd, so we were able to go to state for the 2024 season this year. So I feel really bad for the marching band. They've had a really busy season this year. Thank you. We're also very excited for the gym next year for our gymnasts, so thank you.
And both hockeys have a conflict. We already heard from Ray Dare, so that's boys swim and dive.
Hello, I'm Jarrett Mollis.
I'm August Castro.
I'm Murphy Beatty.
As a team, our growth extended beyond improving just swimming skills. Inclusion was a really big part of our team and fostering unity and teamwork.
Together, we realized that success isn't just measured in the pool and laps, but in the strength and depth of our team.
Some of the accomplishments that we had this season was we were undefeated conference record. We were conference and sectional champs. We were first at the Husky Invite. We placed 7th out of 41 teams at state. And we had 8 state qualifiers competing in 10 out of the 12 events.
And wrestling.
I'm Noah Moulton, and I'm a senior.
I'm Liam Neitzel, and I'm a junior.
I'm Ethan Winkleman, and I'm a senior.
We had another amazing top 10 ranked season led by a dominating senior class, quality captains, and a large group of motivated underclassmen.
Some of our accomplishments were team finished 3rd at individual state, our highest finish in history, and team reached the sectional finals by beating the number 10 ranked team in Wisconsin, but then fell to the number 4 ranked team. Liam Neitzel became our first ever 2-time state champ.
Ethan Winkleman and Natalie Clevetter both made the state finals. Noah Moulton placed 4th at state. Dawson Clymer, Kylie Simpson, and J.D. Miner-Brockhart qualified for state. And then Liam Neitzel and Natalie Clevetter are the male and female BRC wrestlers of the year. That's all.
Now, Liam, I got to ask you a question. Sorry to point you out, but you're a 2-time state champ, and you just won at the 120-pound weight class. What do you weigh tonight?
Probably like 136.
That's it. Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad you can eat again. So, great job.
just want to thank you for having us again, your continued support of the athletics and clubs and organization activities all together. A couple things that you may not always see. We had a tremendous King Cold week with our Pep Fest, and that week, for the people who aren't aware of what it is, it's to bring that school spirit and elevate those after-school extracurricular activities. So our student council had events at each of our events that week that they would do during halftime or during periods. You see the activity during the Pep Fest, couple performances, but we also this year, our senior athletes had an opportunity to visit elementary schools. That was great. We have that in the fall where we do the Spirit Bus, and it's more of a Pep Fest atmosphere. We stop on the bus all the way around the district. This was much more intimate. Our athletes were able to go into phy-ed classes, read books. I know some of our girls basketball players got to learn what coding is. They did not have that when they were in elementary school. So it was a tremendous amount of fun. They did a great job, but I know it was just as valuable to them as it was for elementary school. So a great winter overall. Thank you for having us.
All right. Thanks a lot. All right. Moving on now, do we have any citizens request to speak? Going once, going twice, going three times? All right. I know we have lots of reports, so that's why we have a good crowd tonight. We'll start with coding. Turn it over to Dave.
All right, thank you very much. And you're not going to ask me how much I weigh tonight, are you? I hope not. Thanks.
No.
Okay, good. That's good. So coding is an exciting topic, and we're really excited to talk about the fact that we have a core coding curriculum. So coding is often referred to as the building blocks of computer programming. It teaches perseverance, it teaches computation skills, it teaches critical thinking, and a lot more. And on top of that, it's very fun. So I'm looking forward to hearing from our teachers. Jen Lotzi's done a lot of work supporting this team, and they've done some amazing work for our kids. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jen.
It's a little tall for me. Hi, everyone. So I'm super excited to be here with all of you tonight. This is something that is certainly a sense of pride for me as I think about what makes Hudson so special. It's that we have a K-12 computer science, coding, digital citizenship scope and sequence per se, and courses for our students. So this is super cool. I'm really glad to share it with you. So Dave kind of led into why we teach computer science, and as our friends behind me are going to talk about, they're going to talk about a lot of technical things, but they're also going to talk about some of those soft skills that really come from the idea of coding and computer science around problem solving and being able to pivot on a dime and those kinds of things that happen in real life and in code. So we are doing this because students really need career pathways. Computer science is a great field in that you can leave the school environment just getting your high school diploma and move into a field of computer science relatively easily, especially coming from the Hudson School District. Our students are going to be accessing all types of learning, including getting industry standard certifications, and we'll talk through that in just a minute. And here's the why. So there are 7.72 million unfilled estimated global jobs in the field of cybersecurity. So as we think about preparing our students for the life that they're going to lead outside of high school, this is huge. And it's not like these positions are, low-paying, low-wage jobs. These are high-paying jobs that will pay you to get trained in the field. You can go in at the entry level and within a very short period of time be a highly skilled, highly trained individual within that organization. And again, this is what the industry is telling us. According to 78% of decision makers, it's really hard to find certified people. And through our high school program, our students are leaving here with some of these industry standard certifications. And so like I mentioned, these are those skill gaps that we're seeing in the field of cybersecurity. You'll see right at the top is those soft skills. So being able to work with other people, communicate, collaborate, problem solve, work through an issue, lead through crisis. As we know, the computer science field is filled with crisis. If you can't connect to the internet, makes for a really hard day. Cloud computing, and then security controls. These statistics are changing very rapidly, but the thing that always seems to rise to the top are those soft skills. And they'll talk through that. So here's our general K-12 roadmap, and what this will really tell you is that in our K-5 environment, we're really focusing on introductory coding and digital citizenship, which I'll let Maddie talk through. At the middle level, really focusing on STEM, robotics, engineering, coding as well through the middle school. And then at the high school, we have really more of that like traditional computer science programming, computer programming, which Hallie will talk through. So, and then leading into our new course, Intro to Cybersecurity, that is new this year. And this is just kind of a good thing to know for you. So we're very fortunate in the state of Wisconsin that we have access to this funding. It's called Act 59 funding. And what that means is that our students, if they get industry standard certifications, there's a long list. You can access it if you like. But if they get those when they're here in high school, the school district actually gets funding back from the state to support continued programming around these core areas. So it's really exciting. We're trying to get as many students certified as we can, so then these programs can be self-sustaining, because as you can imagine, computers and hardware and software, that can certainly be expensive, and we want to try to support that continuation in any way we can. And then again, this is just our K-12 continuum, so you can kind of see like the foundation being that elementary digital citizenship, followed by coding, then heading into digital citizenship, coding, computer science, programming, and cybersecurity. All right, and I'm going to pass it to Maddie, who's here to represent our elementary program.
A little bit taller. Hi there, good evening. My name is Maddie Bloom. I am over at Hudson Elementary, and I teach art, media, and coding for grades 3rd through 5th. So what the basics is that we do for media and coding, I touch base on the digital citizenship, so how you can be safe online, and how you can work through problem solving with coding, whether it's digital or in person as well. So these are the common like uses and resources that we use at for like the K through 5 level. Common Sense Media, we use those a lot. Code.org is a really big one that we use. CS First, a lot of those, and how to be internet awesome and everything like that. As for like kindergartners, like K through 2, we really focus more on modeling how things work, how things are connected, and kind of more through play, like through like robots and like B-bots, things like that. How like simple sequences can make like a robot move, or how to get one player to the end of like the actual like map of what they're getting to. As for 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, we focus more on, they do it more independently, more on Chromebooks, and how they can kind of tinker around with robots as well. And yeah.
I think just like also focusing on what you guys do with safety.
Mhm.
And so I think what the power of our elementary programming is that there's that hand in hand, right? We want to make sure that students have those technology skills to be highly effective when they're online, but also while staying safe.
Yep. Yeah, and so like as for like the kindergartners, we focus more on like what a username and password is. How is that going to be useful as they go throughout their whole school career? 1st grade and 2nd grade, we focus on like what is safe to share online, what is not okay to share online. And then as 3rd graders, we kind of review that a little bit more and introduce how to make strong passwords, because you are going to be making accounts as you get older. 4th graders, we teach like everything that you do is tracked online. So we try to make sure like whatever you're posting, whatever you're clicking on, it is being tracked, and we want to make sure you're having a good digital footprint as well. And as they get into 5th grade, I tell them, you know, as you get older, you're going to be using social media more. you will probably run into maybe some cyberbullying, or how can you be an upstander? What would that look like in making the internet like a better place for everyone, especially as they're going into middle school? It can be a big deal. So yeah, that's what we do at the elementary level.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I just wanted to say, Ms. Bloom, thank you. I hear a lot from my third grader about how she loves coding and art and all the things that you do at Holton for our kids. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure.
My name is Chris DeLeon. I teach at the middle school, tech ed.
I'm Mr. Aaron Herker, teach computer science and math at the middle school.
So in my class, we use coding quite a bit in my elective space technology and robotics class. In that class, the focus is really taking the code and bringing it out into something physical. So we're looking at different types of scenarios in which they have to design a robot and code it to perform different functions. And so we're looking at breaking down those the code to a specific action, or maybe an input or an output, and problem solving, breaking down the code to figure out what's wrong if it's not working, and how does that relate to the real world. How do those sensors sense the world around them? How can they interact with those components? We use a program called Autodesk. For that one, it's called RoboPro, which is very visual. So not only can students see the code build as they're designing, but also they can see a visual and say, okay, this line of code is not right. Where's the hiccup? Where's the thing that's going wrong?
So all of our 6th and 7th graders take 6 weeks of a class called computer science. In our 6th grade class, they do a lot of sequential coding, building off of what they've begun at the elementary level. Really thinking, we use CS First, which has like a Scratch component in it. We also do a lot with Lego robotics, that physical component that Mr. DeLeon was mentioning. Our 6th graders do a lot of sequential things that actually tie into some of our language arts curriculum standards as well. We'll get a taste of that here in a minute. Our 7th graders build on that. They do a lot of more interactive stuff. So with our Lego robots, they're using sensors. They're building and designing different tasks from scratch. They've got motors, sensors, all different things in there. In the Scratch component that we use with the coding, they're doing a lot more conditionals, a lot more with variables, sort of building the blocks for what sort of the high school is going to then go with. With my 8th grade elective 12-week course, we do a little bit of web design using HTML. We did app design using code.org. They made sort of a Mario-style side-scrolling platform game where they can jump. There's moving enemies. They've got to score points or avoid falling in pits and all sorts of different things with that. So one of the biggest things that I try to do with all of my kids that are taking these classes is try to unlock how does any of this stuff apply to their passions. So we try to be creative. What's your interest with our apps? We tried to have something that helps them, but I said, what are you passionate about? If you're into hockey, let's make an app that has something to do with hockey. I have one kid made a homework planner. He goes, I'm super disorganized. I should make an app that will help me be more organized with my school. So, but one of the biggest challenges with all coding is the first step is, what do you want it to do? What are you trying to accomplish? So we thought it'd be fun, Tim, if you can switch me over. We thought it might be fun for you guys to create something a little bit today. So this is something our 6th graders would do. This is CS First, uses Scratch, it's sort of embedded. If we're going to tell a little story today, I'm going to need some audience participation here. Our first step would be like figuring out what characters we want to have. So we've got some choices. We've got animals, people. We've got some fantasy characters. Anybody? You can just shout it out. Yeah, just shout out. A category up at the top there. Any of those jump out at you? Beetle. All right, so we're going to get the beetle. Let me find the beetle here. Right here. All right, I'm going to get rid of this cat because he's sort of the stock character. He's kind of boring. Who's this beetle going to interact with? Let's find another character real quick here. You want a person, some food? What do we think? I can scroll down here. Let's pick. There's dragons. There's aliens. There's.
How about Gobo?
Gobo. All right. Where's Gobo? Right there. Okay. All right. So Gobo, I don't want Gobo to be rude, so I'm going to real quickly hop over here to costumes. I'm going to flip them around so that they can look at each other. Let's find a place for these guys to be hanging out together. What do we think? Fantasy, indoor, outdoor, space, underwater?
Oh my gosh.
All right, let's do the bench. All right, so they're hanging out in the park. All right, so what's going on here? What do we want to have these guys doing? I'll keep it brief with you guys, but so this is the kind of thing a sixth grader would be coming up as. What do I want to have these guys doing? How do I want to have them interact? Maybe Gobo says something. Let's start with that. What would he be saying to this beetle or about this beetle as he shows up in the park?
Maybe they're wondering if anyone brought a snack.
All right,
so sitting on the bench.
All right, so we can have our character say something. You know, right off the bat, he says, "I'm hungry. I wish I had a snack." A snack. If our beetle hears that, what do you think he's going to say or do? We can flip over to him. How would he react to that? Yeah, there we go. All right, so this is one of our first steps the kids have to learn is that if he just says, "Am I the snack?" right off the bat, we're going to have a problem here. I'll show you that. So, am I the snack is talking about sequential code and timing this out. If I hit go, they're talking at the same time. So the kids have to go, okay, how do I problem solve that? How can I get this character to wait? Is going to be our block that we're going to use here. Is how long do I have to wait so that I'm not talking before I even heard the other guy say something, so they can look and go, okay, he talks for 2 seconds. I'm going to come over here and, keyboard cooperate. I'm going to have to wait for 2 seconds. And then Gobo, is he the snack? We have to decide. Is he going to be the snack or is he going to be a nice little alien guy? And we'll wrap it up here. Okay, so I'm going to have Gobo wait for the beetle to stop talking, and maybe he can say, let's go get some ice cream or something. Ooh, pie. We can definitely do pie. Let's go get some pie. Oh, help if I could type today. Let's go get some pie. And maybe I say, okay, he's going to walk over there now. So I got to say at the beginning. So they've got a problem solve and say, okay, I got to go. I want him to start at that spot. So I need some code. Otherwise, he's not going to start there the next time. But then maybe they're going to walk over here together. So I can have him walk over there. And then I'm going to do two other things real quick. I'm going to say switch backdrop to the bench with the view at the beginning. But they're going to go somewhere else to get pies. So I need another backdrop here. Where do we think? Do we got a good backdrop for pie store here somewhere? Oh, maybe this one? Yeah. All right, so once we get over there, we're going to switch backdrop to, oops, where'd that go? Got to get to Gobo here. We can switch our backdrop. So this is the kind of thing kids would do is they would think, they would do a lot of testing. They would say, that didn't quite work out the way I want, but now we show up, I'm hungry, I wish I had a snack. Am I the snack? Let's go get some pie. He's going to walk over there, and when he gets over there, we can then start a new scene. So, thank you.
Hi, I'm Hallie Tassler, and I am computer science and math at the high school. So we kind of pick up right where he left off. We have currently 3 classes there. So we have a computer science principles, we have a programming 1 course, and then we have our new course of cybersecurity. Now my programming 1, we start right there with that scratch. We recall how did we implement this and allow the students to visually see all of the different aspects. Now you just saw what we did. Now, this is what one of my students did, and that is just one aspect. As you saw before, he had the beetle and he had Gobo. This is just the code for Sprite 1, and then each one of those, so there's 7 different sprites down there. Each one of them has layers of code that they are implementing in. They are using that, and we are getting them to visually see all of our different coding of a loop, an if statement, iterations, of being able to function so that way we can use code more than once, and that way we don't have to type it out 20 times. So we start here, and then we take that block coding and we move it into where they are full on typing and everything. So this is another example where my students went and they made essentially the game of Hangman and everything. You can see to the side it has the output where they are guessing. So I guessed A and it worked. And then I guessed, and then I keep guessing, and then there's a couple that I didn't guess correctly, and it told me that I had a wrong guess. And as you can look here, like, you probably don't know what it's saying and everything. And that's what I always start with my students, and I give them a section of code. I'm like, you probably don't know what this is, but if you read the green text where it says display the amount of dashes, you probably know what that is doing and where that is happening. Oh, I can see that second line, it has X amount of dashes. Okay, that's what that's taking at. So I'm teaching them, we need to document our code and everything. We can't just write it there. Great, you know what to do it. Next person that's going to probably use it is going to have no idea how to implement that. And even in any jobs, we talked about those soft skills, you have to be able to document what you're doing and explaining what you're doing so that way when somebody else picks up where you left off, they are able to still pick up and not have to be like, wait, what did you mean about this? Wait, what did you mean about this? And then I have just another example here of just using that GUI interface. You might recognize this of like the text box pop up and everything. And instead of you typing it in, they are able to click on a button and have it be able to read. And based off of what they chose here, another box will pop up. So they're able to go here. This one you're able to see, like, my student went and wrote over 300 lines of code. I gave an assignment where I very open-ended and getting into what do you want to do? Like, you decide. I want you to show me these coding concepts, but I want you guys to create something that really is meaningful to you. And that person just took it and was writing it, and 300 lines of code is not, like, is impressive. Like, it's not a little amount of code that these students are writing and everything. So that's kind of where my Programming 1 class is, where we start with that scratch, we start with that block coding where they ended in middle school, and then we take it into them being able to actually write it in, and they're currently writing it in Java. And then my computer science principal class, this class, they get into a little bit of everything. So we start with coding, and we start coding in Python with this class that we will be continue to manipulate. And the reason why we use Java and coding and Python, they're still one of the main languages used in the industry and everything. Again, the students really take this and manipulate it. So, like this one, you can, like, I can read up there, like, check to see if I lost. Okay, I can clearly see that that's going to do that code. They're documenting that aspect of it. This one, they were able to use the keyboard presses, so up, down, right, left, and they were able to make the snake game and everything. So the green part was the snake, and then you guys, if you could actually manipulate it and play it, it would change based off of what arrow that you pushed and everything, and every time that it went and hit the red box, your snake would have ended up growing using those skills. And these students are using all those problem-solving skills of, oh, that didn't work. What do I need to do? Oh, it's saying that I have an error on this code. Where is this looking at? How do I fix this and everything? Another example was a student made like almost that old school Crossy Road game where the chicken would cross the road, and if you got hit, like it had to go back to the start and everything, and incorporating different levels again. And this one here was a group project. So I had 3 or 4 people working together, coming up with an idea and being like, okay, how do I manipulate this? How do I get it to do what I want to do? It's how do we work together so that way we can produce one final product? And they wrote over 700 lines of code throughout this process and everything. So we really start there, but then we get into so much more with that class. We get into encrypting and decrypting data. We talk about internet safety. We talk about internet protocols. We talk about how does the internet actually work and everything. We take a look at analyzing data. How can we take a big concept of data and make meaning of it through code? So we'll do stuff with spreadsheets, but then we'll bring it back into Python and be like, how can what we've learned about coding actually make this so that way we can analyze data and look at this stuff. And then we have a new class this year, which is Intro to Cybersecurity. And we have 3 big aspects in this class. It starts with that personal security. So going back to where we started in elementary and everything, we have to make sure that we are secure online in what we do and know about, like, kids know, like, we need to make a strong password. But do you know why? Do you know the implications? Do you know how they are able to, like, take a look at that? And then just the firewalls and just all that personal security of that. So they're used to having Chromebooks, but eventually they're probably going to get their own laptop. So we take a look at the different aspects of the security on a laptop and the firewalls that you can implement in that laptop to keep yourself safe. And then we get into system security and network security. And when we're in system security and network security, they are writing reports of, okay, these are the issues that we found in this security system. This is how and then they're going to document. They take screenshots of saying that, because when you're writing a report and you hand it to somebody, they want proof. They don't want to just be like, yeah, we found this. No, you want to be like, what did you find? Like, show us what you actually found. So they're taking those screenshots. They're showing what they found. How did they find that? And then what do you need to do to fix that? Because we want those security systems fixed. So then they're taking and they're implementing the security aspects and then documenting, okay, we fixed it. We tried to go into the system again. We couldn't, and it said this aspect of everything, and proving, like, this was how it was. After we fixed it, it said that we could not get into the system.
So we're not going to go through this last section. This is just more as of a resource for all of you, talking through all of the standards that we really focus on throughout most of these courses, some of the additional resources, just things that are out there for you, course descriptions as well. So that's coding and computer science in K-12 at Hudson.
And one quick thing, when we talk about the concept of student engagement, it's something we've mentioned quite a bit. Engagement comes down to curiosity, interest, passion, and some sense of purpose. And you can hear all the ways they would connect with their students with those concepts, how engaging it is, how important it is, and how transferable it is to real life skills. So super proud of the team, and can't wait to see how this program grows.
Thank you.
Rob, did you have a comment or a question?
Yeah, I had a question for high school, maybe even Jen. So with the cybersecurity, when a student gets something correct, do they get Swedish fish?
No. But we could probably build it in, but the budget's no.
That's right.
I have a
And
comment.
Molly, you had a question?
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say that I'm amazed at what kids are doing, and I'm amazed at what you people are doing. It's, other than amazing, I need a thesaurus. It's just fantastic. And one of the things I think is so great about Hudson is it's not like we have one strength, sports or something like that. We have so many strengths, and this is one of them that I think people don't even know about. Well, you know about it if your kids are in school and coming up and doing those things. And I'm just so impressed with all of you. It's fantastic. Come back and play with us. That was so much fun. I love
Yeah.
it.
Bob's got a question, but before he does, I was just going to ask you, mentioned about the Act 59. How many certifications did, we get kids to take this year?
That would be a great question for teaching and learning or Leslie Blask.
All right.
Yeah, we have to check with Leslie.
Yep. Mhm,
Okay, all right.
mhm, Yep.
And I would just say, Molly mentioned how many strengths we have in our district. One strength I don't have is the ability to access my district email on my phone. And I think I need some help with that.
We can hang out, yeah. Mhm.
I mean, so, thank you. With someone in this room must
Or,
be able.
or you could ask a sixth grader.
Our kindergartners sign into their email, so they're all proficient right now. So, well, thank you all so much. Again, I'll say 1,000 times over, no one does computer science like we do in Hudson, and we're incredibly lucky to have the support of the district, the board, and all of our teachers. We're very lucky. So, thank you.
Bob, don't take it to heart, because I was one that was real quiet when he was doing the sixth grade coding thing. I didn't want to be, not as smart as a sixth grader. So, all right. Next up, we have the counselor's report. Tara.
We do. We have representatives from elementary, middle school, and high school tonight who are going to share the report. We also have a huge majority of our audience as school counselors. So if you guys can give a little shout, little wave, little dance, whatever you prefer.
All right.
And then if you don't mind introducing yourself while you're up there, so we can put names and faces.
Did we turn this on? Is it on?
Up is on.
Up is on. Okay, I think it's on. I think that one's on as well.
Test.
Right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm Anna Lerndal. I am the school counselor at Rivercrest Elementary.
Nathan Gehring, one of the counselors at the high school.
And I'm Angela Gable, and I'm one of 4 counselors at the middle school.
All right, so we do have a video linked in the previous slide from a couple of our stakeholders just explaining what school counseling programs have done for them, for their families, for their students, the impact they've had, and just the work that they've collaborated with for others. So you can watch that when you have a chance. But we just want to take some time to just define what a school counselor is, what our role is, how we work with students, and the impact we can have. So all of us are master's degree recipients. We do have that higher level of training and specialized instruction for counseling and counseling skills. So our main 3 domains that we work with to develop in students is that academic development, social emotional development, and career development throughout their K-12 educational career and journey. And so we do that through a lot of different services and a lot of different supports. But those are the things that we really primarily focus on. Each level has a different emphasis, so elementary looks quite different than high school and middle school. In the elementary world, our focus is really on that social emotional development, teaching them regulation skills and problem-solving skills to help them be more successful in the classroom and better learners, whereas middle school kind of bridges all 3 together and ties it all in. And then high school, their main emphasis is that academic development and that post-secondary planning and readiness.
And we do have a slide that will show, capture a little bit more about what we do at each of our levels. But in terms of the national model that we follow is the American School Counselor Association model, and it is the model that the state of Wisconsin also has counselors follow across the state. There are 4 themes within the ASCA model, which is leadership, advocacy, collaboration, and systemic change. And in order for our 3 levels to make the K-12 system work, collaboration is a really important piece to that. So collaboration, not just us working with our students one-on-one, but our families, our staff, our administration, our parent group, our ELL programs, and our community agencies. And so when we talk about community agencies, it's those treatment centers that are out there for our students, such as Eris and Amory, Day Treatment, Prairie Care, Rogers. We have lots of treatment centers that we support our students through that are when they're not in our building. And we also have co-located mental health on site for some of our students who do need to see a therapist. They are able to access that on site. So again, we work with all of our stakeholders to support our students' success.
I think one of the things that we really strive to do is being proactive and not waiting till something happens and then try and clean up the mess afterwards. So we work really hard through data, through conversations, through engagement, like Angela said earlier, with families, teachers, staff, anybody that impacts the students' lives. We try and gather information so we can make informed decisions, and we can make the best decisions in the best interest of the student. So up there, talking about that prevention and intervention, we have a lot of programs, speaking on the high schools, and we have a lot of programs to help address some of that, to meet the needs of where all of our students are at. Every student in our building, we take a lot of pride in meeting with and connecting with and making contacts with and building plans. So they're as successful as they possibly can be. Again, kind of talking about the data points, we try and maximize the students' abilities. So whether that's getting into an Ivy League school, or whether it's getting into UW River Falls, if it's getting into Northwood Tech, it doesn't matter for us, it's the same celebration. So we understand that students are coming to us from a lot of different backgrounds and a lot of variety, and for every student's needs and plan is different. So we try really hard at the high school level to celebrate all of their successes, because we don't know what they're coming from, who they have in their corners. So we want to make sure that they know there's at least one adult in the high school, and that's their school counselor that's in their corner, supporting them and advocating for their needs.
This slide has a lot of information, and you may not be able to read it from where you're sitting, but I do understand that you have access to this slideshow so you can get a better look at it. It breaks it down into our 3 levels, and I want to say thank you to Tara for providing opportunities for us as a K-12 system to get together, so the all 3 levels can talk about what's happening in each place. Just one specific example is our suicide risk response conversations, and what's the elementary doing at their level to support students in that realm, and then the middle school and the high school, what are we doing in that? So I just really appreciate that Tara has provided us the opportunities to get together to do that. In the columns, they are broken down into direct services, indirect services, and other duties as assigned. And so other duties as assigned is just, they're things that the American School Counselor Association would say is not really within our realm, but we're assigned to do them, and so we do them. Direct services is where we are interacting with the students face-to-face. That's direct services. And then indirect services are provided on behalf of our students as a result of the school counselors' work with stakeholders. So we do meet needs of all of our students, and we do this through our classroom guidance. We do this through our large group presentations. So just like supporting students in the academics through the tiered levels, we are supporting our students in the social and the emotional realm with mental health and those needs as well. So 80% of our students will receive what they need through our classroom lessons, through our large group presentations, but then we have like 15 to 20% who are going to need something more. They're going to need a little more layers with what we're already providing them through those classrooms and large group presentations. And so that might be small group, that might be individual counseling. So I think it's one thing that's important is that while not all of our students receive individual counseling, all of our students have been informed of and have access to a counselor. So, parents can reach out, families can reach out, the students can reach out, teachers can reach out, and so it might not be every student has individual counseling, but they do have access to it if and when they need it.
I have a question on that. So you say if and when they need it. Obviously, some students might get referred, like a parent has a concern or so forth, teacher, but, or the student themselves come forward. Roughly of the students that are assigned, because I see our ratios at the elementary level, each counselor has average of 379 students, 285 at the middle school, and the high school currently is at 280. of those 280 or students, how many do you have face-to-face contact with, at least on one occasion during a typical school year?
Are you talking more of like individual counseling?
Right, well, just
Also-
how many of the students that are assigned? Because this is, obviously, your time
Yeah.
gets spent on the ones who end up having more services, that 15 to 20% you mentioned that need beyond the large group presentations. I'm just trying to get a sense for how many individual interactions of at least one per out of the students. Is it 50% of the students end up getting, that you end up meeting? Or does it take all 4 years, that somebody goes through high school? Do they see their counselor maybe no times during those 4 years? That's kind of what I was trying to get a sense for. How many might be.
I guess kind of a tricky question to answer because we have a lot of, Angela talked about earlier, availability. So we have a lot of contacts. We communicate via email with a lot of students, and that's where we're meeting them and where their needs are at. Oftentimes, we do meet with face-to-face individually, and our goal is always 100%, but as you can see with the bullet points, things happen, and we always have to be on the ready, available, flexible, triaging and prioritizing. So our goal, I think, every year, I think I can speak on behalf of all 3 levels, is 100%. Is it always 100%? No. But that's something where, whether we're in the hallways, we're doing lunchroom duties, we're in the mornings greeting students, we do have indirect contact with a lot of students that may not have a formal appointment in my office, but I can keep tabs on things and themes and patterns around. So again, our goal is 100%. We strive for that every year, but things
All right,
things
thank
happen.
you. Thank you for answering that. Kate?
I just wondered, I do get questions about the individual counseling. So my question would be, would parents know that that's happening? And then well, I guess that's my first question. Would you be talking to parents before a counseling session occurs?
I would say not every situation involves a parent contact before the student is spoken to. It could be, because the student could come down on their own, and that wouldn't warrant that phone call. I think it depends on the situation. If it's a friendship issue that's being worked on, just working through that. But if it's a higher level concern, parents are called, families are called. So it depends.
So then would the parents know that they had come down to visit with you, or is that dependent as well?
That dependent as well, because if it's a friendship, a little friendship situation, I guess I would say is not, we're not going to call every parent for every friendship situation.
And I think we do value that collaboration between parents and students in school. We really feel like that's an important bridging and building block for their success. So oftentimes I will reach out to parents and say, hey, we met today. They're having a hard time in this class, and so we met, we regulated together, we talked through some strategies. So I think we do make a point of connecting with parents so they can understand what's going on, so they can help as well. But yeah, some of them are situational dependent. And I mean, from elementary perspective, sometimes it may be big to them, but it could be pretty small, and we can just quickly solve it and move on. But yeah, we do value the communication piece between parents and collaborating with the big things.
That's great. I know my son, when he was in elementary school, he loved going down to see the school social worker or the counselor. He just thought it was so exciting. And so,
I mean, I like to think that it
right,
is.
right. So we value you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President?
Yes, Rod.
So at the high school level, we have certain students who know what they want to do. They want to be engineers or go in the medical field, what have you. We have a variety of kids, especially when they're at the top of the bell curve, who may not know what they want to do or where they want to go, and frankly don't know about the resources they have at the high school. And I guess getting back to Jamie's question about that one-on-one, that proactive outreach, outside of the group sessions, do you have the resources even to help students and be proactive with, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? What do you like? What are those, helping them to get to some point, some vision beyond high school?
Yeah, I think, I mean, speaking on behalf of our team, and I'm just really proud of the high school team and efforts and everything they've done. And we work really well collaboratively as a group, but we don't settle. We don't just go status quo. We're regularly doing trainings, we're in workshops, we're trying to get the most current and updated information to present to our students to give them the most updated information to make the best decision for their lives. So whether that's workshops through the University of Wisconsin systems, we'll do the Minnesota school systems updates. We do communication with our technical schools, so we try any avenue we can to provide that information. In addition to that, we have colleges and military branches that are at our schools regularly, trying to connect with students too. So in anything, we're always open to ideas and strategies. We have a lot of family meetings. We bring parents in with the students. We have team meetings and try and kind of figure out a plan, knowing that plan A may not work, but what's plan B, C, and D? And it's ultimately up to the student at this stage to make the best decision. As much as mom or dad or us want to make the decision, ultimately it's the student's future. So that's something we really try to provide all of that current information so they have everything at their fingertips. Not only us, we work collaboratively with our high school teachers as well through advisory. We have Zello, which through academic and career planning, and we're really trying to gain momentum with that program too, so students are able to explore and save and do interest inventories, check out schools, check out majors and programs to see what all is out there and see what's, how that fits into their skill sets.
Mr. President? I just want to say thank you to all of you for all that you do. And the font is so small, I almost can't read it because that's how much you do. So thank you for what you do for our kids and our community every day. And then for high school counselors, I'm just wondering, I feel for you with the bungled rollout of the FAFSA this year as kids are trying to apply for college. How's that going?
It's going.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going. So we get a lot of hurry up and waits, and
Yeah.
hopefully we're starting to get some clarity now to be able to move forward. But yeah, we're at the mercy at a lot of higher ups and waiting for that information to come down to us so that we can get that information out.
Well, thank you for holding in there. I'm sure you're getting a lot of questions from parents and students as they wait to hear.
Mr. President. And so Dave and I he was helping me. And so 8th grade and 11th grade, it sounds like the one-on-ones are coming back.
So that's we're working on, we have a team working on the academic career plan, and one of the things that we're looking at is how we can increase the connections with individual students and counselors and also advisors. So still a work in progress, but definitely something we're working on. And that's something that's sort of shared between student services and teaching and learning. That's an active process underway.
Yes.
And I'm noticing the ratio in the high school changing and being outside of the recommendations. Maybe we'll take a closer look at that in the future perhaps than just where we fit with other districts in our community with that.
I have a question about that. I think, didn't we change, we now have a social worker at the high school? Is that correct? Is that why? Okay. I kind of have a question and a comment, and this is kind of hard because you guys do a ton, and from what you're doing here is amazing. And to ask to do something more feels a little bit like, don't you see what we're doing? We see what you're doing, for sure. And we're so grateful. These are our kids. So we're super grateful. I know that I might have had a child who took up a lot of time at the high school, a counselor. So we're super grateful for all of that. But I feel very strongly, somehow we have to figure out how to connect to the kids who maybe are kind of lost. And I know you guys feel that. How do we do that? Is that more boots on the ground as far as counselors? And I know that primarily your job is really to make kids career community society ready. That's not the right word, but you do a lot of other things. You have so many hats. But how do we connect with kids to make sure we're not missing? The ends take up a lot. The middle gets lost. So it's not a criticism. It's just like, how do we help you?
I know at the high school, we talk about that almost every day. We meet weekly as a team. We meet weekly as an administration team. Going from 6 to 5, the ratio is getting quite a bit bigger. We're stretched thinner. The projects, the bullet points don't go away. Those tasks still have to be completed. So we're just stretched thinner. So, how do we do that? I mean, we're open to ideas, and again, we do the best we can. All of our decision-making from our team is student-centered, not the convenience of the adult. So it's our sacrifices to make all of our students in our building feel comfortable and confident, and empower them. And again, do we want to hit 100%? 100, absolutely. And how do we do that, knowing all of that work still has to get done? ACT, pre-ACT is coming up. I think last year we tested grades 9, 10, and 11. So we coordinated over 80 classrooms of students testing. So just putting some of that numbers, I mean, it's a lot, and it's hard when that has to take priority over a student appointment because the state testing has to get done. So that's.
I think there's continued work with our advisory programs and what we can do there to help students feel connected through our advisory programs. We do have a MySabers assessment that we have students complete, which allows them to self-identify areas that might be hitting on what you're talking about, the internalizers that are harder to see. And we are in I think, our 3rd or 4th year of having that resource, and our own growth in making that better and using that better. So I would say that is another area, is our MySabers assessment.
And one thing my school does from the elementary perspective is we do these things called minute meetings. They're super quick, super short, but we just ask the kids, who are 2 adults that you feel really care for you? Because it's one thing for their perception, but then to have the numbers to back it up. And then we ask, how safe do you feel at school? And so that helps, it's just another piece of data that helps guide us with kids that maybe are falling through the cracks a little bit or that sort of thing. And so last year we had 98% of kids say that they could name 2 adults, and so we thought that was a really great number. We do it every year, and it just really helps us be intentional with how we're interacting with students, what we're providing for them, how their needs are getting met. So that's something that we continue to do each year, and I know other elementaries do that as well.
Mr. President?
Yes,
I'm not sure if this is a question for Tara, Dr. Willett, or both of you, but could you explain a little bit more about what our social workers do in our schools versus our counselors? And I know there's some overlap, but.
There's definitely some overlap. I think for a big purpose tonight, a lot of it, what the social workers do is with attendance and barriers students have to accessing school or things that they need while they're at school. So those barriers breaking down would be a big piece. You guys probably have a better answer than I do. And with the 2 part-time social workers in the middle and high school, with our attendance, they spend a good majority of their time on attendance. And then our social worker at the elementary is all 6 buildings, so take that times 6. Also shout out to all 3 of them at school, or at Social Worker Month, so thank you to Alyssa, Chelsea, and Julie. They're not here, but just want to make sure we can get that in.
Any other comments or questions? Do you have anything more for your report? We started jumping in with questions.
No.
No, we appreciate the questions.
Right, yes.
We just have one more slide for you to take if you wanted to look a little bit deeper as far as what school counselors do. And with ASCA, our national affiliation, just gives a little bit more guts to what we were talking about tonight.
It's a lot more, actually. I clicked on all those links and spent about half
pretty
all
thorough,
the reading
yeah.
material. So, it's a complex area, but it's really important because I think it's probably the biggest challenge for students learning is making sure that they feel safe and that they know what, they have some purpose and find out what their passions are. A lot of them need guidance in that regard, so we really appreciate the work that our counselors do. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Tara, this one is yours
Yep.
as well.
Sure can be. Tonight we have a group presenting on teacher-child interaction training. You may hear the word TCIT, and TCIT stands for that teacher-child interaction training. So these four will be presenting tonight. If you guys want to grab a chair and squeeze up at the table, if you're more comfortable. And then if you could introduce yourself.
I'm Leah Wahlberg. I actually teach kindergarten full-time at Willow River.
Allison Slusher, I teach first grade full-time at Willow River.
Kirsten Talentino, I teach special education at EP Rock.
I'm Jamie Bout. I'm the school psychologist at the middle school.
And then we have two other coaches as well, Bethany Budson, who's special ed at Hudson Prairie, and then Melissa S. Canyon, who is early childhood 4K school psychologist, but they couldn't be here tonight. We could really talk to you about this for 4 hours, but we know that you don't have all that much time. So yeah, so buckle up.
If we would like to, we're starting a new cohort tomorrow.
Yes, we are. So really what we want to just kind of go over for you, TCIT is something that we feel very passionate about, and we have this group of teachers that we've been training and coaching, and we just want all of you to know about it too, and just we have some goals set for our program and our group. So what we want to do is just talk a little bit about what TCIT is, give some program updates because we have been coaching and running this training for teachers for several years, share some goals we have with you for TCIT, and then talk a little bit about family engagement. We have a Parenting with Pride class that we've started and are hoping that we can really get going and expand to all of our sites. We have a podcast. Hopefully you've all subscribed, Spotify and the YouTube channel. And then just other ways we can support families that are coming into our district, that are already here, just knowing that we have their back and that we support them. So that's our goal for you today.
Wonderful. So to talk about the training piece first, as we said, we have 6 active coaches right now. And for that coaching piece, we all have gone through some intensive training with the actual creators of TCIT. And so we were very fortunate to have them come in and train all of us. We have currently 40 teachers or educational assistants throughout the district who are trained in TCIT. And what that training piece really looks like is there's 2 different phases of didactics, followed with a lot of coaching, because we know how powerful that coaching piece can be. I think that's one of the key components that really sets this apart from some of those other maybe sit and get type trainings. So the first phase is CDI, or child-directed interaction, and so it focuses a lot on what we call the pride skills, but really what the purpose of that first 6 weeks is with that CDI phase is building those positive connections with students, making sure we have those positive relationships, because we know what an essential foundation that is for kids and their long-term outcomes, but then just when we have to get to that place where in that TDI or that teacher-directed interaction where we really want to make sure that we're having effective questions throughout our instruction, that when we have to, place those demands or those directives, that we're doing that in an effective way too. When we do those didactics piece, that first part with CDI, it's followed then, they get training on one day, we do our first kind of coaching session in between, and then they come back for a follow-up day on Thursday, and then we do weekly coaching with them. So we have a weekly touch base point with them where we're going into their classrooms. It's maybe a little uncomfortable for them at first because they get to wear like a little earphone and we're coaching them with a microphone, but they get used to it pretty quick and it becomes pretty seamless, where we can really do that in the moment coaching for them, where we're giving them that positive feedback on using the skills, giving them some guidance and direction on how they could maximize the use of their skills depending on what outcomes they're looking to achieve with students. So we do that for about 6 to 7 weeks, and then we go into that teacher-directed interaction piece of it, and that's really, again, trying to make sure that you have the most effective commands, you're asking questions in an effective way, that you're following up. If you're taking the time to ask a question or to place a demand, it's important enough to follow up, because that follow-up piece really helps solidify those connections for kids on what are those pro-social skills we're trying to teach them, along with several other soft skills too. But we continue then after that with weekly coaching. There's some benchmarks then in terms of what's considered proficient. So we're looking at a certain rate of skills within about a 5-minute time frame just to see what's that kind of fluency of those skills, and then also following up if they're asking those questions or placing those demands. So we continue that weekly coaching until they hit that proficiency standpoint. Then we fade to every other week until they reach mastery of those skills, which is another benchmark. And then once they have that mastery piece, then we can continue to provide ongoing coaching per their request so that we can make sure that we're maintaining and sustaining those skills.
All right, so our overall goal is to get all classroom teachers, including 4K, trained in TCIT. So this is really the age level that it aims at. You can definitely still use the skills 3rd through 5th, but you just have to be a lot more sophisticated, and you see yourself expanding a lot more with those skills with those higher ages. So we would love to start reaching more out to the 4K community sites and start there. And so we're starting to head down that direction. Training all special education teachers and support staff. One tricky area with this is that we see a lot of turnover in this area. And so it's a balance of like giving them the skills to be successful, hopefully retaining them, but then also buying it or having them buy in to then stay a little bit longer in those roles. Training, yes.
Sorry, can I piggyback
Yeah.
on that really quick? I think part of that too, when we think about retention, I think sometimes where we maybe see some turnover with some of those educational assistants in particular is because they maybe don't always feel like they have the tools. And so part of the focus with this goal is really making sure that they feel like they have the tools to be successful with students, because sometimes they're working with some challenging kids. And if we can give them some tools in their toolbox to just have that higher level of efficacy, that can go a long way.
We're also starting to reach more into the specialist teachers, so music, phy-ed, art, media, and getting those teachers trained to mastery level. They're consistently seeing all of our kids throughout their entire day, and so it would be super amazing for the kids to go from classroom with their gen ed teacher to then hearing the same language in their specialist classrooms, and then also piggybacking off of the parenting class that is getting started as well. Providing support and collaboration during PLC time. We recently went through our list of teachers that have been trained in our entire district, some of which were like 6 years ago, and so we reached back out and have had opportunities to attend their PLC time and provide additional coaching sessions just to make sure that they're still fresh up on their skills. We would love to train all elementary school counselors to mastery level. Again, another area where all our kids are seeing school counselors throughout some time of their week. Providing didactics to all elementary principals. We had the opportunity to meet with all the principals a couple weeks ago to give them more information about TCIT, but thinking that it would be super helpful for the principals to hear the full training, what it entails, and how we value it and the skills that come along with TCIT.
We offered to coach them with the earpiece. I don't know if they're going to take us up on that, but.
Continuing to provide fidelity checks again, so those who have been trained, continuing to circle back to those and make sure that they're maintaining those skills. Providing release time for us coaches, and so as coaches, we are required to find time throughout our busy days to go out and routinely coach. And so sometimes it gets really difficult to find that time to leave the classroom. Luckily, a few of us have been able to get release time with the support of our principals and student services. And so that's been super helpful to make sure that we're able to get out and coach to make sure that these teachers are able to implement the skills that they're learning. And then this year, we were really advocating for a stipend as us coaches. So this is something that we're all super passionate about and love doing and could spend all day doing it. But then also recognizing this is something that we take on in addition to our jobs that we do throughout the day. And yeah.
Mr. President, this is probably obvious, but when you say release time, it's someone coming into your classroom or covering some of your other work for you?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of times right now, so I have a little bit more flexibility in my day as a school psychologist, but these guys, in terms of having their instructional load throughout the day, they typically are giving up their prep time to go and coach. So they're not necessarily doing their classroom prep piece, they're maybe doing that at home or in the evening, so. Yeah.
And then we just touched base with some of our teachers and pulled data on the impact for teachers and students that TCIT has on them. And so there's just a couple quotes from previous teachers that have been trained. And then before a cohort starts, we take data that is the DESA. I don't remember the acronym. But essentially it gathers behavior rating skills that the teacher fills out before participating in the cohort. And so they pick 2 students to really be intentional with their skills on, and then they'll rate them at the end of the training as well. And then we can see the difference that it's had as far as the child's behavior.
And the one at the top of that last slide was one of our school counselors at North Hudson, and she's somebody that I coach, and she had approached me with this and just said, I have this student who I've been meeting with. I thought for sure I'd be meeting with him all year long. He was on check-in, check-out, which is our Tier 2 behavior intervention district-wide, and he's no longer on check-in, check-out. So just, she was attributing a lot of that to her acquisition of these skills and being able to use them and feel really confident with them, with having that frequent coaching and just a lot of check-ins with our team. And so I think that that's a really valuable piece of information up at the top, especially when you think about these kids who do require that Tier 2 level of intervention and support. This really does set the groundwork and helps build that relationship between their teachers in the whole building, not just their classroom teacher too.
I think one cool thing with that too is she's able to use it in her individual counseling sessions with students. She's able to use it in her small group sessions with students. She's able to use it when she's doing classroom lessons. And she said it's been a really cool partnership too when she's able to be in classrooms where the classroom teacher is also trained in TCIT, because they're able to just feed off of each other. And there's times where maybe one's asking a question and this one's closing the loop, or vice versa. So they're really able to have a good collaborative teamwork there.
And then in regards to the DESA checklist, it's ultimately used to measure behavior change. And so typically, if it is effective, you see an increase of 3 to 7 points. And the DESA is showing that it is increasing an average of 6 points. So a significant increase in student behavior when they are trained and reach mastery of the TCIT.
So another great piece that we want to share with you is a new class that we are working to start. It's called Parenting with Pride, derived from what we've been trained with the teacher-child interaction training. And so again, bringing families with their children together and teaching the didactics to the parents, and then ending the time with the parents interacting with their children, and we are coaching them. We don't use the earpiece, but walking around, sometimes engaging and playing with them and their child, but really ultimately supporting them and encouraging them. This has been really powerful. We started last spring, and then we had another class this fall, and we're looking at holding another class this spring, so it'll be our 3rd group of families. Ultimately, we would love to see this grow so that we are doing this fall and spring at every elementary school. We are taking about, 6 or 7 families is about all we can take. So really, that's not a lot of families when you think about how big our district is. So getting the word out, the family pays $10 and they come for 6 weeks. We feed them. We provide childcare during the didactic part for the parents. So we really feel like we've hit all the areas they can come, they can get a meal, everything's taken care of for them, and the learning is really, really powerful. We had 6 families last spring, another 6 this fall, and right now we have about 4 registered so far, so hoping to fill that up.
5, we have 5.
Oh, we have 5, woo! We follow very similar outlines. It's 6 weeks. We've broken it up very similar to what we do with the TCIT, starting with the CDI skills, the child-directed interactions, and then building on it through there. We found that really a lot of families are willing to share and even support each other within this class too. So not only is there learning happening, but a really great community feeling is built too between the families and the parents.
And TCIT in general, it is based off of PCIT, so parent-child interaction training, which has a lot of research behind it. And so it's a really nice, natural kind of segue to being able to integrate this piece to it.
The part that the kids and parents do at the end, where we have gone around and done that, we've given pride skills to the parents for giving pride skills to their child. It's called Special Time, and if you, there's like an NPR article about Special Time. Special Time comes from that parent-child interaction therapy. I mean, we are not therapists, and we're not giving that therapy to families, but we've taken what we've done as teachers and given parents an opportunity to really just spend that uninterrupted time with their child to practice these skills. We've gotten a lot of really great feedback about it. Families have tried to use the pride skills every day. We always check in when they come back every week. How's it going? Have you tried something new? Have you noticed any changes in your household? Really, we want the idea to be that things and transitions can be calm, even though it doesn't feel like it all the time. You can let your child lead play, and it can still be engaging and meaningful to you. And so we have had a lot of parents with a lot of positive feedback for us, which we're grateful for. And they have seen, a lot of positive results. I think one thing we'd like to do is be able to provide some follow-up for families. One of the questions that Leah and I have gotten both times that we've done the class so far is just, gosh, I wish we could have a follow-up class or a follow-up lesson like after 10 or 12 weeks, just to get a refresher. And I think that being able to continue this and being able to keep building those relationships would really be helpful for that too.
We encourage the families then, once they leave us, to continue doing special time. When they're in the class, we say, try it a few times a week. And so it's really a natural progression for them to build in that playtime where you're using those skills, so that then when we need to give our child a command, that connection is there, that relationship is built, and then they're used to that language, and they know what your expectations are. So it's been amazing. Allison and I talk about how we are not experts in this, but we are parents for quite a long time now, and have our own stories to share and our own situations from the classroom too, and how this language has been so powerful in our classrooms as well.
I was just wondering if some of the parent or families that you've worked on this with, is there, like you had said, if they continue on with using those tools, are there online tools that they could be shared with them? Or I know this is kind of a, one-on-one bit.
We send them we have like a packet of slides with the information on it. One of the last sessions that we have with the parent, so it's like child-directed skills, interaction skills, and then parent-directed instead of teacher, like at school. We have like a when-then sequence for a timeout, for example, or how you can manage consequences in your home. Really, it gives the idea of like, when this happens, I know what to do next, but we haven't yet been able to have time to develop anything that we can have for families that they can look up and have, but that would be something that we would like to do next.
We definitely try to give them things they can take away.
Right.
Even one said, okay, I'm gonna put this on my refrigerator. That way Grandma and Grandpa can see it too. I'm not being mean here. This is what I said, we do try to give them handouts and papers that they can walk away with. Something we're gonna tie into next is the podcast. And so we do bring a lot of the language and topics into the podcast as well, hoping that that will refresh their memory or bring them a resource.
So speaking of podcast, we currently have 10 episodes, almost 10 produced, I think. We just recorded a couple last week. They're on the Hudson Connections YouTube page and then Spotify. So share with all your friends, tell all your friends about it. We really try hard to think of a variety of content. So one of the first episodes we had was getting ready for back to school. How can we make that transition easier for our whole family, not just our kids, but parents too? It's hard for us to come back to school as well. We have had the high school counselor, middle school counselor, elementary school counselor. The last couple we did were with 4K, Heather Sundberg from 4K. We have her coming to join us for our Parenting with Pride class this spring, adding in her positive solutions for
parents.
families or for parents. Just giving it another opportunity. I'm trying to think of what else we've. There are 10.
Yes.
But we'd like to,
Hormones.
Oh,
That was
hormones,
a great
that was a good one.
Yes.
Hormones and growing up was a good one. Parent-teacher conferences, I mean, that time goes by so fast when we're together with families in front of them at a table, and so how to get the most out of that experience. Really just trying to open the door for families to get as much information about a variety of topics as we can.
The transition to middle school, I think, was one.
Yep,
wasn't it?
middle school, and then to high school. Gosh, we should have printed the list.
Yep.
Okay.
Next time.
I think
Next
it
time.
might be linked.
It might be, yes, I think it is linked in the next slide. So what we said before, our ultimate goal really is for Parenting with Pride is to expand this to all of our sites. Right now, it's just at Willow, and like Leah said, it's really hard to get more than 6 families just because there's 2 of us at one time, and it is a lot of interacting, and we want to provide that instant feedback and answer any questions parents might have at the same time. And just knowing it might be more comfortable to come to your own school site as well. We'd like to be able to include all of our coaches and all of our buildings in that class. And then, again, provide ongoing support for parents who have attended our class. We always share our email address and phone numbers at the end. No one's reached out to us that way yet, but they're always welcome to do that. And then just to continue, I took your slide, your name is on this one.
I'm great. This
Oh,
is
so
great. I'm
sorry.
nodding and smiling.
And then we hope to continue to record 2-ish podcasts per month.
Yes.
Oh, great job.
We have a whole list, and we are
A whole
open if you
list.
have any ideas for podcast topics, let us know.
Send them our way.
Mr. President, I thank you so much for this presentation and for all that you're doing with teachers and families. And I'm going to start listening to the podcast. I haven't got on them yet, but you're really going above and beyond, and I'm very thankful for all that you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really like reading the reviews and having teachers say that this, increased their skills 100%. So that's good to get that kind of buy-in to something like that.
It definitely helps the kids stay regulated, but as adults too, that are in the classroom all day, it definitely is a tool that we use to keep ourselves regulated too through those frustrating times. It definitely helps. Just set the stone, creates more predictability and routine for the kids too. They're like, if I do this, then this happens. So it's a great tool for everybody.
Yeah, I think because we have that predictability, you get that sense of safety, especially for those trauma kids, is really important.
I just had a quick question because you kind of were talking about a lot of the 4K in second grade and then the questions change from 3 to 5. Is this something, just because it wasn't clear to me entirely, that you're doing at the middle school too, or no?
At this point, we focus, so the bulk of the research that they have at this point is really that early childhood up to second grade is really where there's the strongest research in it. Karen Budd and Dave Stern, who created this, they have been working with some schools, and like they work with District 916 in Minnesota, and so they have started to work with some schools at the middle school level. There isn't as much research yet. The concepts and the principles are the same. A lot of it is just being a little bit more sophisticated in terms of how you're utilizing the skills, but it can absolutely translate. Like I use it when I'm interacting with kids all the time, and they pick up on it in the positive way, but not in the sense of like, okay, wait, what are you doing? Like it doesn't come off as weird to them.
It really seems like
Yeah.
you could translate it into other ages. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah,
So the PRIDE
absolutely.
skills, it's an acronym, obviously, education. So P is praise, R is reflect, and so it's praising the kid when they're doing something positive, reflecting, and that's where you really have to be sophisticated, is expanding as you're talking to the older kids. So if the child says, I drew a house, you're like, a house. Like, it's really being intentional, like, I'm listening to you and I'm connecting. Imitate is the I, D is describe, so you're describing what the child is doing, and then E is simply enjoying. So if you're doing all those things, then you're more than likely enjoying your time together.
Yes, Kate.
I just want to probably end it with, I can tell how excited you guys are about this, and it's so fun to see. It makes me excited about it, and I can only imagine the kids and the parents feel the same way, so kudos to you. It's
Thank you.
Thank you.
We also have T-shirts. We just didn't, we didn't wear them, but we do have T-shirts.
We didn't want to scare you.
That
would've made you come on a little bit strong.
presentation without Leah singing, so we're doing pretty good.
That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And I'll turn it over to Nick as a few reminders, and then we go to Andrea.
All right, just a couple quick reminders. The school board election is coming up April 2nd. I believe there are 5 candidates on the ballot. Just a reminder that it is coming up April 2nd. There are no referendums for us on the ballot, but the county is running a referendum. I don't think there are any contested races at city level. And I'm not even sure if there's in our area any contested races at the township.
There's 2 on the county board, one in North Hudson and one in the
Okay.
city.
All right. So just a heads up reminder. St. Joe Board has a contested race. So we'll see how that goes. And then community conversation update. Just again, reminder to everyone out there, please RSVP for the community conversation coming up 4th, 5th, and 6th. They're starting to roll in, so which is great. And we'll continue to kind of push to try to get a nice cross-section of folks from our community to give us feedback and to really dialogue about what the district can continue to do and the direction we need to head as a school district. So great opportunity coming up. Just want to continue to plug that, and information about it is on our website. It went out, should be in mailboxes today or tomorrow with our district newsletter. We'll have an article in the newspaper after spring break. So really trying to get as many people as we can to be a part of that conversation. So.
And that conversation looks like it's 3.5 hours, and then 4 hours, so that's 11 hours.
Correct.
If we get people who are very interested, but, have a conflict on one of those 3.
We'd still like to see them.
Okay.
Yep, still like to see them there.
All right.
Absolutely.
Very good. Any other questions on that, folks? Otherwise, then we turn it over to Andrea and the Wellness Challenge update.
Yes, because we are in the final week of our Wellness Challenge, and so do have visuals. So our theme this year was Ignite Your Health, Body, Mind, and Spirit, and we had a lot of different activities. This was for that family fun night, which was really well attended, and many of you came, and that was fantastic, and it's definitely an event that staff ask for year over year. And then if we go down to the next one, Tim. It's more what we focused, keep going. This was the calendar of events for the month. It was the kickoff. We had an Ignite bingo card that all staff were able to check off little boxes to participate in different activities related to wellness. Then week 2, we started the physical challenge, the body challenge, where every week we had the first week being 30 minutes of physical activity. Then we had a new activity, and then we had water consumption. And it was a building-based competition. We had thousands of entries, which was really fantastic. We were really excited about the level of participation because this was all new this year, a new approach to our wellness challenge. Then we had week 3, which was an exercising your mind. Really well received. We had hundreds of entries for those challenges as well. And Sarah Jameson in my office worked really hard to come up with some really challenging contests. There was a crossword puzzle in particular that people were objecting to because there was a couple hard ones. But it was fun, and I think we did like a play on words, we did brain teasers, so looking at that. And then this last week we started the spirit competition, or the spirit celebration, I guess, and one of them is the Laugh at Work Challenge, where we had over 100 people submit jokes or memes that we're going to kind of put together in a little book. And this week is the finale, and if you want to go to the next page. Also, if you'd like to participate in this as board members, please feel free. What this is for the Spirit Challenge is finding the awe in the everyday life. And so looking at something that you can celebrate, some moment that inspires awe and inspires reflection and wonder. So we already have a lot of entries for this week, and that'll go through a spring break. And then everybody who enters this last contest gets a prize. We do lots of prizes, lots of celebrations, and we'll be announcing at the end of this week who won the building-based competition. But it was pretty close. So it was a fun challenge, and staff have enjoyed it, and we'll take their feedback after we complete this and modify it for next year too.
So is this Spirit Challenge something we need to reply to an email or?
You can. I bet Tim can forward you the email that I sent out today, and then you'll have access to the Google link at the bottom. And so some people are submitting just pictures, other people are submitting stories about a moment in their life that has been awe-inspiring.
Okay, very good. Any other questions or comments on that? Thank you, Andrea, for leading that, because I think these wellness challenges are great. Team building and, community spirit type of things, so like to see that. All right, next up is our action agenda, and first is the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. President?
The expenditures, yes.
So I'd like to pull the February 26th, 23 meeting minutes from the consent agenda.
Okay.
And then I move approval of the consent items so that the Chief Financial and Operations Officer be authorized to pay bills in the amount of $1,067,751.88.
All right, do we have a second? Second. All right, just to be clear, there's no discussion, but the February 26th meeting minutes are being pulled and will be discussed separately. But this is a motion to approve the expenditures and the personnel packet, as well as the February 12th meeting minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. And then on to the February 26th meeting minutes.
Yeah, not so much a comment about those particular minutes. I just wanted to follow up on, back in September, October, we agreed that we were going to put out our meeting minutes, from all the approved meeting minutes. And I know Tim was kind enough a couple months ago to, share with me that that work was underway. I went out to the website today looking for those meeting minutes, and they, weren't there yet. I was just looking for an update from a transparency perspective.
Update on,
So on the website, currently we can go back out, I believe is it 5-6 years or something, and see.
actually, I think we have them all the way back to 2016, don't we, Tim?
Yeah, 16 maybe.
Yep, yeah, 7 years.
So we were going to put the approved meeting minutes next to those, just so the public would have a reference to what we discussed and what was approved.
Yeah.
And we agreed as a group to do that. And I know everybody's busy, I just wanted to follow up. It's been, since September, October.
Okay.
So-
Yeah, we will continue to look at that.
Is there a tab or a page within,
Well, what happens is the meeting minutes are always available. They just have to go to the agenda, and they're still live. So anybody can see past meeting minutes at any point, all the way back 2016,
You can
along
see
with
the
all the
agenda.
documents. What's
You
that?
can see the agendas and all the documents that were attached, but
Yeah.
the meeting minutes aren't out there.
If you go into the agenda, you can click on the meeting minutes.
so the meeting minutes for the prior two meetings will always be.
They're always
the
an
action
item.
agenda.
They're always an item on the regular meeting. They're not listed separate, but we're working on getting them listed separate on the website. But
Right.
at any point, you can see the meeting minutes from every meeting on our website.
Okay.
It's
So-
just, there's not a separate column for them.
Yep.
And that's what we're working.
And right, and I think, so Rob's point is to approved minutes, which I think, it's usually one set of minutes per year we actually amend. Otherwise, I would say 22 or 20 out of the 22 other meetings are just approved as is. But
Right.
I think what you're saying is rather than going through agendas to get to the approved minutes, having the minutes listed
In a separate column, I think,
separately.
just like Nick said.
Yep, okay.
Which is, and thank you for doing that. I was just curious to know where that work was at.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's always been there since the website's been, since 2016. So you go to the Board of Education meetings, and all of the,
You have to click on the link inside. You have to know what you're looking for.
What's that?
You have to know what you're looking for.
Well, I mean, you could go to the 23, 24 board meetings, you could go to 22, 23, you just gotta pick which year you wanna look for, so you click on the year, and then you just pick what meeting.
But if you were
you're-
looking at February minutes, for example, you'd go to the March meeting too.
Yeah, so we're working on the process of getting 2 more columns there.
So you
you
can go
have-
to the meeting minute, for instance, the February 26th meeting, you have the agenda and all the content that's linked to it. And what you're saying is, to the right of that, there'll be a separate link just for the approved meeting minutes.
Yes.
Perfect. Do you know the
We're
timing
just,
on that?
it's a big undertaking considering we have 7 years of these things. And
Yep.
so, yeah, we'll continue to work. I mean, it's an item on the list. It just hasn't been real high because all of those documents are currently on the website. It's just you have to go one click deeper than having it right next to it.
Well, and to Jamie's point, to find, February 26th, and then the February 12th, you have to know that you have to go to the March 4th agenda to find them.
Mhm. Yeah, we'll get those.
All right, do I have a motion to
Yeah.
approve the February 26th meeting minutes then?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. First up, Dave, is 2 international trips. You can take the choir trip first, since that was discussed at our January work session.
Yes, thank you. Yes, so as you said, we discussed this at the January work session. This is a choir trip proposed to go to Greece, March 8th through the 15th, 2024. Pretty full itinerary. Again, the itinerary will be more fleshed out upon approval, so if this is approved, then they get the details because they work directly with the travel company. They do already have planned a theater workshop, a visit and singing at a local orphanage, and then the final performance, and also some cultural experiences for the kids, small cruise of the island, and then a lot of daily activities. So estimated cost is $3,400 to $3,500, and there is an insurance option, which we always include with international trips. So if there's a need to cancel, there's an opportunity to recoup that money. We make sure that that's always there. This was quoted at a 75% reimbursement or refund, but then there's always that option for additional insurance for that 100% refund for any reason. Obviously, it's a little more costly. We took a look at the State Department status for travel precautions. They were at level 1 for that. We do keep an eye on that because that can change, obviously.
Level
And
1 is good.
Level 1 is good, yes, there's 4 levels. Level 1 is the least concerning. And Kate asked about any layovers, and we did check for potential layovers where they likely would be. Once we know specific travel arrangements, we'd obviously make those specific plans as well.
And so I know there was quite a range of number of students that might participate. It says minimum is 45, maximum is 150. And do they generally take that? I mean, obviously you're filling more than one plane if I get 150, but do they try to get them so they're flying on the same day when you have to have multiple
Yeah,
flights?
typically it's been one plane flying together. We don't, because we have to have chaperones on the flights as well, so we wouldn't have them just booking their own flights. It's all together as a group.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that. Any other questions or comments for this? I think this spurred about a half-hour discussion at our January work session. I mean, frankly, the board asked a lot of questions, regarding the 2 things that are most foremost is safety and, how inclusive is this if it's something that's gonna cost $3,500 per child. But in the end, I mean, I think where we landed as a board was that we don't want to deny some students the opportunity to do this just because it's not necessarily affordable for all. We do have fundraisers and so forth and encourage people to do it, but I think, again, it's a fairly safe option in this regard. It's not Eastern Europe or some other places which would be potentially more dangerous, the cost is going to be the cost, but hopefully we got students that are able to make it even if they have to work hard for it.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Related to the cost, and I might get this wrong, so, but we also talked about what would a trip in the US cost, and I think you said you guys had looked at New York and the cost wasn't much different?
There's about a $500 difference. Now, that's specific to the trip they planned, what they were looking at, but yeah, they had 2 proposals. One was to New York, one was to Greece. They preferred the Greece, but they did price them out. Because really, when it comes down to it, the difference is the flight. Because if you're still in a hotel, you're still eating, you're still doing all those things, the difference really comes down to flight, as far as cost.
All right. Otherwise, any other comments or questions on that? All right, you're just looking for approval of the administration recommendation to approve.
That is correct.
So moved.
Second.
Bob got there just before you made it. All right, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. So that's the Greece trip. Now we have a second opportunity, and that's the German-American Partnership. Not the first year for this program.
No, it's been an ongoing program, quite successful. Fun to present these together because they're very different. The choir trip is more of a tour-based experience, focused obviously on singing. It's 1 week. There are no family stays. There are more cultural experiences that are as a large group, so they do their things together. The German-American Partnership Program is one where there's an exchange, and there's considerable amount of time that is as a family stay. In terms of language development, immersive programs have proven to be the most effective way to enhance language skills, and this is obviously an immersion program. It takes place, the partnership is through a school in Frankfurt. That's the same school that we partnered with for quite a while. Looking at about 16 to 20 students is the estimate. Cost for this is about $3,000. Dates June 22nd to July 7th, so a little longer time frame that allows for that meaningful family experience as well. Although there are interesting tours and so forth, they want to make sure that the kids have a well-rounded cultural experience and leave with some lifelong lessons. State Department status for this was level 2, which is the second lowest. It's increased caution. We keep an eye on that. That is actually, that increased caution matches what the worldwide caution is, which actually applies to the United States as well. But that will, again, keep an eye on that right up until the travel date. Typically what we have done is if it's level 1 or 2, we would consider that trip. If it's level 3 and 4, we would not recommend to go. Obviously, we wouldn't recommend 4. But that is a quick overview of the German-American Partnership Program.
Mr. President?
Yes, Rob.
And so I guess I'm just asking for the sake of asking, the $3,000 didn't note the additional insurance? That will also be required here as well?
There will, yes, that's a requirement for any of our overnight international stays.
Okay,
that
thank you.
There's the option for a full reimbursement insurance.
Okay.
Lesson learned.
Yeah. Seriously, I lived that one.
Yep.
So, move to approve?
All right, we have a motion.
Second.
Kate got it. Megan, you just. I'm just too slow. All right, we have a motion, a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. All right, the German trip is approved for, this is, again, the summer of 2025. So all of these are a year in advance, plenty of time for people to book things. Next up is Bonnie, the facility rental fees.
Sure, so Facilities and Grounds did a review of the facility rental fees. Attached was a proposal that was reviewed at the work session. So we typically, historically, have gotten between $150,000 to $200,000 in revenue annually. And that money is to offset, facility costs so we can do the great things that we saw tonight. There was a recommendation that the board did review. This morning, we did receive a inquiry from the basketball program about their fees. We are not recommending any changes to the hourly fees, but they brought some concerns. It appears that they had some documents in there that they presented to the board and to Aaron Mullen in 2022. I'm not sure, I wasn't here at that time, about discussion of waiving their fees or reducing their fees for youth basketball. It does not look like it appeared to happen at that time, but I don't know the history because I just got that this morning. So.
This would be priority 2 groups?
Correct. So the question would be is, one, do we approve what was recommended for this year and we spend time meeting with all the groups to, see if there's some areas that we need to tweak? One of the reasons we want to get those fees out is those people are starting their programming. They are trying to build their budgets. So we want to give them, the recommendations of the board. Like I said, the current fees did not change for that group. 2, we could table it And we could try to go to talk to that group, but I feel like if we talk to that group, we don't talk to all the other groups, then the other groups might be concerned. Is it better to take a look at all groups over the next year, because that's a big process of users that we have. So wanted to bring attention that we did receive an email and an inquiry, but again, that was this morning. So the recommendation would be what is presented today, but again, you know, if you would like me to, you know, work with those groups, we can definitely do that as well.
Mr. President?
Okay, so we're talking about the first three. It would be the varsity gym, the large gym, and the small gyms?
It's actually the whole, if you click on that, it would be the whole document. So if you keep going down, it's the fees for all the facilities in the district.
Oh, yeah, I know that the
Oh,
document
I'm sorry.
does all, but you said there was one group that wanted to see a waiver or a reduction or something, and you said for their category, no changes being recommended, which would be the $12, $19, or
Correct.
$15.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood, yeah.
Yeah, so there's no changes there. I was just curious why the varsity gym is less than the other large gyms.
That's per court.
Okay,
The other large gyms are a court and a half.
okay. And so the varsity gym, you take that 12 times 4 or times 3? 3, okay, it's 3 in 1, got it. Thank you for clarifying that. Megan, did you have a question on these?
Well, I was just going to respond to Bonnie, you know, the note you made about these organizations need to build their budget, and it would feel unfair to talk with one group and not others. Since we're recommending no change, I feel like we should move forward and think about if discussion should be had in the future.
I mean, I'm definitely open. I'm new to this, so learning this, I think it would be good for me to get a better understanding of everything. I just think that with the amount of users we have in this district, to handpick one group and make an exception, it seems maybe not the most wise decision. That,
Right.
you know, taking your time, and if we're gonna restructure, let's restructure and take our time and do it right.
Right. And there's not changes for majority of these. There's only a
Correct.
few that we're recommending changes, or some are going down, some are going up, and I think that was a reflection of usage, right?
Correct, and I think we really were trying to focus on the comparability fees of who they did their comparisons with.
So again, if we have a lot of competition and a lot of use and very high demand and low supply, it makes sense that we keep our fees where they're at or raise them. And conversely, if nobody's using them and they're sitting there lying vacant anyway, we could look at changing it down. But we try to do that, and that's what this document is.
Correct.
A reflection of, that attempt to match supply, demand, and usage. So, any other questions on that? Otherwise, the recommendation is for keeping most of these the same, but then the ones highlighted in yellow are slight increases or decreases of fees. Is there a motion to approve? Second. All right, motion by Bob, second by Rob. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, I ask all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the fees are approved as is, and we'll continue to monitor this and restructure where appropriate. But we got now a template for the 24-25 year. Thank you. Next up, our school age care fees. And Tracy.
So nothing changed from last week's work session. This is annual review and recommendation. We're recommending a 2% increase in all of the areas excluding 4K wrap care. Based on comparables, we were a little bit high, so we'll keep those at the same rate they are this year. This structure of fees should keep our costs reasonable for our families and also keep school age care with a positive balance.
And these fees go into the Fund 80, correct?
Correct.
The question I had seen that there was a 2% recommendation. watching the news, that's less than what inflation's been over the last couple of years. And how does our 2% increase this year compared to the last couple of years?
The previous years were higher, and were projected to end this year with a positive balance. And so we don't want to overcharge. I mean, if we're meeting our expenses, this seems to be reasonable for what we're looking for, and based on what we would expect to see for enrollments.
And on 4K, we certainly don't want to undercut our partners in the rest of the market.
Right. I mean, we're currently higher than our community partners.
Okay. So that's why there's no recommended increase there.
Well, it would put us even higher than.
Yes.
I mean, we really want to make sure that we're providing a service to our families that is reasonable for our families.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions or comments on this? And, again, I want to emphasize, we are in the black in this area as compared to our year of COVID.
For school age care.
Yes.
Fund 80, so includes a variety of services. Community Ed is also part of Fund 80. So when you were hearing the previous conversation about Parenting with Pride, so that's one of the programs that is in Fund 80. We don't make money on that program. We try to keep costs reasonable for families so that they can participate. So Community Ed across the state typically doesn't make money, but it does provide services to our community.
But just, we're just approving the school age care, not the whole Fund 80.
School age care typically ends with a positive balance.
Okay, thank you. Is there? All right.
Second.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for giving Megan a chance to get in. All right. We have a motion, a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. And now we moved on to that portion of the agenda about closed session. Are we still going to proceed with that? We don't need to go into closed session. Well, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. We are adjourned at 7:57.